Welcome to Inspired Women Amazing Lives podcast, where we seek to thrive, flourish, and celebrate amazing women. I am Kimberly Wiggins, and we are hosting inspired women who are sharing their lives and their stories so that other women may know that the journey to their amazing life is definitely within reach. We are here every week to share resources and information that will help you along the journey to being that inspired woman leading an amazing life. Check out our new Marriage of Mindset and Marketing series every second and fourth Wednesday of the month, where we are hosting live coaching with mindset and marketing coaches who are sharing their insights with business owners so they can experience the magic of coupling mindset techniques with marketing strategies. Be sure to listen in, as there's always takeaways for every new and seasoned business owner. Remember to like and comment, and most definitely share these episodes with another woman that you admire and one who truly inspires you. Or simply share with someone you would like to inspire. Enjoy. Welcome to Inspired Women Amazing Lives podcast. And boy, do I have a show for you today. You're going to be, ladies, hold on to your seats. You're going to be so excited with this today. I have with me Stephanie McPhail, and she is the CEO of Being Loved Shouldn't Hurt. You heard me. Stephanie is an expert in helping brilliant women date up. So she has a BA and a bachelor's in psychology and a double master's degree in health and education, as well as being a certified crisis counselor and Reiki practitioner. Wow. Which gives her a holistic approach to her signature holistic healing approach. That is really nice. Stephanie has spent years going from one unhealthy relationship to another. So, honey, she's telling us like it is because she has walked the walk until she decided enough was enough and took her power back. Now she helps others do the same. Oh, Stephanie, this is going to be so good. All right, go ahead. Stephanie, it's so great to have you.
Thank you so much for having me on. This is going to be awesome. There's so much great information that your listeners are going to just love.
Yes. Oh my gosh. Go ahead. Tell us your story. I just can't wait. Go ahead.
Well, I didn't become an expert of, brilliant women dating up because I've always dated the right guys in any way, shape, or form. I was an expert in dating the wrong guys. I started out by, dating someone, lived with them for a while, ended up police being called, really terrible relationship. We broke up. Thought I was doing the right thing. I was 27 years old. A police officer came to me and said, you know what, you got to do something different. So I made some changes and started dating again, but had not made the right changes because I attracted my first husband, who ended up being very abusive. And on the very first night of our wedding, so we had just gotten married. Imagine now, the wedding was in a castle, and I live in New York. There's a place called Ohiga Castle. Look it up, because this is where like millionaires have their weddings. This was like a beautiful, beautiful castle princess type of event. Wow. And on our wedding night, he drew a bath, and I got some water spilled on the beautiful marbled floor. And he said to me that, Stephanie, just like you, Stephanie, to make a mess in this beautiful place. And I was like, relax, honey, it's marble, there's water, it's not a big deal, it's a fancy bathroom. And that was the wrong thing to say, because his eyes turned and he followed me, chased me around our hotel honeymoon suite for the next 3 to 4 hours, telling me he wanted to kill me. He threw my ring, told me he wanted to throw me out the window, and that it was the worst mistake of his life, and then he ended it by taking me and throwing me onto the bed and strangling me till I lost the ability to fight back. And luckily, you know, as I was crying and I felt the tears going down my eyes, I thought, this man that I chose to marry at 29 years old is going to kill me on our wedding night. And so I was looking at him and couldn't fight anymore. And luckily, the darkness came out of his eyes and he got off of me like he had just woken up and removed himself. And I curled up in a ball and I thought, I just, you know, like cradled myself and kept thinking, what am I going to do? What am I going to do? We just spent all this money. I had family from, you know, other countries that had come to this wedding. It was a big event and all this, you know, all this money I kept thinking about. And he came back a few minutes later, apologized. The reason why he was so upset was because how stressed he was. And, you know, he gave all these excuses. He's the, you know, the really good salesman, as I like to say. And he like hit all the buttons that made me feel bad and thought, you know what, we're married now. I chose this man to marry. I was embarrassed. I was shamed. I was all of those right words that keep women trapped in toxic relationships. And so I stayed, and he promised me it would never happen again. So we went on our honeymoon. It took me a few days, and then I finally relaxed a little bit, and it was good for 2-3 months. And of course, I wouldn't be sitting here if things were now happily ever after. It ended up being that for the next 5 years, I was strangled, I was spit on, I was pushed, he would stand in the door, keep me from places, wake me up in the middle of the night, pulling the sheets off, cursing and screaming, calling the police, telling them that I had done something. One night when he had woken me up at 3 a.m, scared the heck out of me. And I think my arm jumped up because I was so scared, and I think I scratched him in the face. He called the police and had them come to our house saying that I was abusing him. And I mean, the list would just go on and on of just things that make no sense. And so finally, after 5 years, I had started to think about how to get out. And I said, I can't do this. And I was so afraid to be alone. I was 34 years old. And I thought, you know, I'm so old, I'm never going to find anyone. This is, you know, but it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter because I would rather be alone than feel so alone in this relationship, because this is not how my life is meant to be. And so at 34 years old, I left my own house because I was the breadwinner. I left my own house and said, I'm out. Went and hid basically at a friend's house for a few months until he finally understood that I was serious. He needed to get out of my house. And we got a divorce. And things got worse before that got better. I went through a major depression. I lost 25 pounds. I got a blood clot. My grandmother died. I got a DWI for sitting in my car, by the way. I'd gone out having some drinks with a friend. I knew I had too much to drink. I sat in my car. The cops came, gave me a DWI because it's intent to drive. So then I was on probation. And so things got really bad. I mean, I had never experienced that kind of terrible, you know, until even the time leading up and then actually leaving afterwards. And I remember one day I sprained my ankle while I was at work. And who did they call but my ex-husband? And I'm in the emergency room, and my ex-husband is in the emergency room. He had come to check on me. And the doctor comes in, and my foot's elevated, my ankle's all swollen. And I start laughing but crying at the same time. And the doctor looks at me like I was losing it, like this woman's nuts. And my ex-husband's looking at me kind of weird. And I was like, oh my God, I get it. I get it. And they both said, what? And I said, I'm my own knight in shining armor. And of course, they kind of left it at that. And it was that aha moment where I said, I have been looking for someone else to come and save me this whole time. I got to save myself. And so I basically got the right team. I got the right people. And I was able to create my best life. And in the end, I got to meet my soulmate. We're now happily married and have 2 beautiful children together. So happy ending.
Wow. Yes. What a wonderful, amazing story, Stephanie. And, you know, until recently, Stephanie, you know, I've had a similar journey. And until recently, I wouldn't talk about it publicly because I went through the same thing, you know, that thing of feeling shamed and embarrassed and because you know, my husband was abusive. And but we had children when he was abusive, which made it even worse. But um, I know you're going to psychoanalyze me in this process, and I'm going to tell you some things about me that are going to shock you, and you're going to say, oh, that's why you're still alone. You know? You're going to be like, oh, that's why you're still alone. But the reason I say that is because that is the conclusion I came to myself. After my girlfriend packed me up for 3 times, took me away, brought me back. He came and got me 3 times. And when I finally left the last time, it was on my own. And that was the realization I came to, that I didn't need anybody to save me, that I could do it on my own, that I was smart enough to do it on my own. So that is like a huge aha moment. And this is what, out of that story, what's funny is I'm sitting here listening to your story, and I'm thinking the entire time, how brave, how courageous, how resilient, what grit, what perseverance Stephanie had, you know? And for the longest of time, I could see that in someone else, but I couldn't see it in myself.
Yep. Yep. And I was someone, I mean, I was like you, most of us come back. Yeah, we do that. I did that. He moved out 3 times until I finally, and that's why I had to leave, and really, he didn't know where I was. I was pretty much in hiding for a little while.
Right.
But it's interesting because when I was going through it, I've always been the strong, independent, nobody has to take care of me or worry about me person. And which is interesting because I now see that as such a common thread with us brilliant, beautiful women, is yes. that strong and independent, nobody has to take care of me, nobody has to worry about me. And so when things started to be that really people did have to worry about me, I was really good at pretending everything was okay.
Same here. Yeah. Same here.
Really that. And you know, what happens sometimes, our family of origin teaches us to do that. They teach us to be quiet and to not say the family secrets. And those kinds of deadly secrets bring us into our adulthood, and then we do those same things, and they're much to our detriment. My best friend is a psychiatrist, and the first time she heard details of what had gone on was the first time I ever did a podcast. She listened to it, and she said she was in her bathroom crying and saying, I can't believe that you didn't feel comfortable enough to tell me. And I said, I wasn't telling anybody, because speaking out loud almost made it more real.
Mm-hmm.
I had this weird thing that I wasn't getting punched and my bones weren't being broken. So there's sometimes where it's like, I mean, I was being strangled. And the thing when I spoke to a domestic violence shelter, and again, I'm a crisis counselor, like I've helped people with those things, even at that time. And for me, I wasn't associating that with killing me. Like I was just like, oh, I'm not getting beat up. He's not abusive that way. He just has strangled me a few times. And the person who was there to be my advocate looked at me like I had 2 heads. And she's like, you realize he could have killed you in less than 30 seconds. And that in and of itself, for the first time I got an order of protection against him, I was like, oh yeah. But I was so minimizing it, like, no, it's fine, don't worry, that I was minimizing it so much, I was minimizing it to myself.
Absolutely. All those feelings, I felt them, Stephanie. I have. And, you know, it was just, I went home about 3 weeks ago for a family funeral.
I'm sorry.
And when I went there, because this happened like, let's see, my youngest son is 28, and he was 2 at the time when I finally left. So this happened 26 years ago, right? My sisters, the ones that I am closest to, had never heard the story. And my sister, I was there, you know, you're not supposed to coach your family, right? So I was there trying to provide a healing moment for my sister and her son, her adult son. And one of the ways I chose to do that was to share my story, which brought about a miraculous healing for them. Mm-hmm. I think my sister thought because I was able to share my story and let down my guard for that, that she could have the freedom to admit some things for herself to her son. Yeah. And you should see my nephew. My nephew, while I was telling this story, his mouth was open the entire, he couldn't believe it. He was like, I never heard this story. I said, because nobody ever heard that story. Because I was so ashamed. I was embarrassed. So yeah. I get all of those emotions. Oh my gosh. It's Stephanie, we are kindred spirits.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah.
And so many of us women are, because that to me is part of the movement of Being Loved Shouldn't Hurt and Brilliant Women Dating Up, is because when I started sharing my story, there were so many women that came to me and said, oh, I've been in that, or I'm in it now, or I've been in it before, or I never told anybody, or even other things that happen to them. I mean, I work with clients all the time, and there's so many other things that they're dealing with that they're so ashamed and embarrassed to talk about. And it gives the opportunity to say, hey, ladies, we deserve a voice. We deserve to take up space and deserve to have feelings and thoughts and be treated well and to be happy in our lives. And so many women just think they have to suffer and take care of everybody else and that they're not very important. But the reality is that you are the most important person in your life. And I don't care who you are, mm-hmm. You got to you. And then, you know, as a mom, because I also have children, as a mom, you need to take care of your children too. But if you don't take that time for you, you're not going to be a very good mom either. You need that space. You need to feel calm and safe in order to be the best mom for your children.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And, you know, my girlfriends tell me now that I'm too picky. Oh, you want a perfect man. You are too picky. But we'll talk about that. Okay. Mm-hmm. So this is what I want to know. I love the fact that you help women date up. Oh my God, if I could clone you and like put one of you in every state, it would be amazing. Would you say that you're a dating expert? If not, what makes you different from a dating expert? Because I want my audience, the women in my audience, to be clear. I don't want them to say, oh, this is just another dating expert. So
that's and just so that you know, you don't have to worry. Everything I do is online, so I can be in every state. So don't worry, I am everywhere.
Yes. Yes.
I'll start with that. But so basically what makes me different, I'm not a matchmaker. You're not going to come to me and I'm like, oh, I met this guy and he's going to be great for you. Like, that's not at all what I do. So how I help brilliant women date up is that what happens for a lot of women is, especially, you know, well-educated, strong, independent women, we've done a lot of hard work on ourselves and we've been very, very, very successful. And a lot of us, based on society, based on our culture, whatever that is that we've been brought up with, has taught us that we are too much as the woman that we are. And that we need, if you're going to be with someone, then you need to lower your standards, like you just said. And so, you know, my first boyfriend was someone, you know, I have a double master's degree. I have, you know, all these different degrees. I bought a house at 21, all these great things. And then, but my boyfriend, my first major boyfriend, was an electrician who barely went to work and smoked weed all day long. Like, that was the guy I was dating. And so, you know, I remember my mom at one point when I was younger saying to me, you know, Stephanie, you're dating these guys that are just not in your same realm. And we had gone to church every Sunday. So we were like a church family and we, you know, we were good at helping others and whatever. And I remember being so offended at her saying that and saying, how could you say that someone's better or worse than someone else? We're all the same. Why does that matter? And I think that the words that she was saying, if she would have said, you need to find someone with more similar values, right, more interests. And, you know, that's really, so when I say date up, that's really what I'm saying is, instead of dating these people that have no commonality with you, you need to find people that are, what are you doing in your spare time? If you're not having fun and being silly and whatever, what are you doing with the rest of your time? Because the rest of your time is life. And you need to find a partner that is an equal partner, also looking to do similar things as you. If not, it's draining. And even if it's not abusive like mine was, it drains you of your joy and your ability to be creative. So you will never get to your full potential if you're dating men or women, but if you're dating anyone that's not in your level.
Absolutely. Stephanie, I can remember back in my 30s, when I would say in my late 30s, I had gotten so tired of dating, that I would say, okay, I will, it doesn't matter. As long as he has a job and some skills that know how to use his hands, I'm good. Got a car. You don't have to have a house because I've got my house. All this, I would just make up all these things, this story, so I could feel like I didn't have to be without someone. Now, granted, I didn't realize it then. I didn't realize it until I was in my 40s, that the journey I took while I was alone was a journey that needed to happen so I could learn how to love myself.
Yep.
Yeah. And so that was when I got in my 40s and realized that, I felt like, God, that's what you were doing, because it was like an aha moment. But yeah, I totally agree with you as far as being able to date up. So tell me, how do you work with women in your practice to take them through a process of being able to date up? Because I'm sure a lot of these women have some unresolved emotional baggage.
Oh, yes. Oh, yeah. Well, so my background is a health educator. I have a bachelor's in psychology, like you said. So I come from a little bit of a different approach where I'm really looking at the full person. So, we don't get into these toxic relationships because everything in our life is perfect. I saw signs that I didn't want to see because I didn't want to see them. And there was things because I didn't think I deserved, even though I was doing all these great things and I thought I had good self-confidence because I had achieved everything I'd ever tried to do, but relationships were not one of them. And so, and like you said, I now am grateful for the lessons that I got because I'm me and I get to be the full me because of them, not in spite, but because of them. And so what I use to help other women get into the same place is I look at, what are you eating? Nutrition. I get everyone on green smoothies, like looking at what you're eating. This is your temple that you get to experience the joy of life with. If you're not taking care of yourself and putting some of the right fuel in your body, you're not going to be thinking as clearly and you're not going to be doing and thriving. Exercise. If we're not exercising, we're not getting enough endorphins. So just, even if it's just going for a walk, getting your body moving, that's really helpful. We look at self-care. Ladies, we are terrible at self-care. We take care of everybody else in the world and we do not take care of ourselves. Moms, we are terrible at this. I have women that fight me on this. My clients, they fight me. They're like, but I couldn't self-care today. And I'm like, but you could. You just didn't put it on your list of things to do. It was not a priority for you. And for a lot of us, it isn't. And not that we're not busy. I know busy. I start at 6:15 in the morning and go till 10 o'clock at night, pretty much most days. So I understand busy, but I find time for exercise because that's a priority for me. Because I know that I need to do all the things. I need to have that in my repertoire. And that also helps you feel better and energized. So I look at exercise. I look at meditation or prayer. There's got to be something spiritual. So something higher, more than yourself, that connection with others. That's part of the healing journey as well. Social. So many women have lost their friendships. I found for me, when I was younger, I had lost the ability to have friends with females. For some reason, and this was upbringing and society and everything else, to me, women were not people to be trusted. I was a little bit afraid. And there's a lot of things, listen to music, watch movies, things like that. Women are always the ones that are causing trouble. Think of Adam and Eve. What did Eve do? There's always that beginning negative femininity thing. And it wasn't until much later in life that I realized, hey, here I was thinking the guys were my friends, but it's never been the guys, it's been the women. And the women have been these warrior goddesses who have, pushed through all these amazing things. and been there supportive and they're the ones that I need to reconnect with. So having that social aspect of it. So teaching women, like, go out there, make some new friends with women, you know, stay away from the men for a little while, make friends with women, find activities that you enjoy and start adding that into your life. And then we look at the emotional part. I mean, there is unresolved issues from childhood. There are women, I mean, the amount of women who have had, you know, abuse, whether it's sexual abuse or physical abuse growing up, or, you know, abuse. I mean, I'm not even there. I mean, just so many stories of horrible things their parents said to them growing up. And, you know, the list goes on. So we really look at the emotional aspect of, as well, and say, hey, why don't you have boundaries? Why is your self-esteem so low? And we look at ways of how to elevate those, have boundaries, feel comfortable with them. And then we sprinkle in a little bit of Reiki energy healing, because I get a little bit of that, you know, foofy new age type of thing, which is amazing. Because I remember the first time I went to Reiki, I was like, oh, really? This sounds a little weird to me. I'm going to like touch someone and it's going to help them heal. But it was so cool the first time I did it. Right away, I was like, I need to learn how to do this, because this is amazing. And so I use the Reiki as part of it. And I definitely have some empath skills. So with my clients, I'm able to read between the lines of things that they don't say. And I can really sense things that they're holding back. So I use that intuition as part of it. And then my husband comes on as a team member, and he does something called Psych K, which helps with high-speed mindset change. So all of those subconscious beliefs that are telling us you're not smart enough, you're not good enough, you're not enough, whatever that is, he helps change those patterns in your brain so that you're now thinking more positive ones. So between that whole, and that's why it's the holistic approach, is really looking at every angle of how to heal you completely.
I love that. Oh my gosh. Yes. Yes, yes, yes. I love that. I love that. You're not letting the body and the mind and the spirit sag in any way. You're taking care of all of it. I love that. Oh, wow. Very nice. Yes. So, Stephanie, what would you say is the thing that makes relationships unhealthy? You know, you mentioned something just now that really hit home with me when you said, go out and make new social connections. So it's not just the relationships, you know, with the man, with the woman, or whatever. It's the relationships, your relationships in totality.
Yeah.
Your friends, your family, your business associates, your clients. It's your relationships in totality, right?
Yeah. And I work with women right now I have a client who's 70 years old, and her relationship is with her son who's got a gambling problem. Like that's her unhealthy relationship. I have women, it's their, you know, it's their uncle, or, you know, whatever. It's like, it's not a romantic relationship. And a lot of the times, even the ones that are in the romantic relationships, when we start peeling back the layers, we realize that they have all sorts of friendships that are completely unhealthy as well. So, you know, starting to practice of like, and that's where the boundaries set in. So what do I mean by toxic relationships? Relationships that make you feel less than yourself, relationships that drain you. So when you are with people and you feel like you're constantly giving, and they're just taking, and they're not replenishing, like you said, like the bucket, like they're not giving back. It's one-sided. And so those people you try to give them a boundary, and they're like, I'm gonna walk all over that boundary and tell you what I really think. I mean, that disrespect of your wants and needs is a good indicator that it's not a very healthy relationship. If you don't feel safe, and if you don't feel energized once you're leaving that, you know, interaction with them, then there's a good sign that there's some boundaries and some work that needs to get done there.
Wow. You're right. And as you're saying that, I'm thinking in my head of relationships that I have like that. And it makes me want to be around them less and less and less, because I feel so drained when I leave.
Yep. Yeah.
When it's over, it's like, in my mind, I say, thank God.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, I've had enough of that for today. Huh.
Those relationships for me have gotten less and less. I mean, more so, like, there's certain family members, I love them. They are who they are. I will accept them for who they are, but I also will not accept bad behavior. So what I do is I limit the time. So I love them. I want them to be a part of my life, but I'm not willing to sit around and be nasty or hurtful or, vindictive or anything like that. So if I start to notice, like, as long as it's calm and safe, I'll continue conversation. And then when it's not, I leave it, whether it's physically leaving it or if it's a phone call, then I end it that way. Or sometimes I'll get a text message. I'm thinking of one family member in particular. I just don't read them because it's not about me. It's about them. And so I'm not going to jump into a drama. It's not drama for me. I have no time. I have no energy for that. And so the people that I hang out with, the ones that I spend my time with, they inspire me. They help me about being a better person. And if you can't be that in my life, I literally don't have time for you.
Yes, I love that. Yes. Wow. Nice. So hold up, Stephanie. We'll be right back after this short break because, audience, I want you to hear Stephanie coach me through my relationship things. All right. So we'll be right back. Hey, Kimberly Wiggins with Inspired Women, Amazing Lives here. Have you been dying to share your voice in a much bigger way to make even greater impact at what you do? Are you holding yourself back from being more visible in your niche? No surprise here. I know many people who are doing the same thing every single year and wishing they hadn't. You must decide to take action right now. Nothing beats that. So are you ready to share your voice in a big way? I'm offering you the opportunity to finish off 2019 like never before, so you can look back and finally see the people you have impacted and the lives you have changed. Podcasting can help you do that. It will allow you to express yourself and be heard in a much greater way so that your message can add value to the lives of others. Isn't that what you really, really want? Check out my Podcasting Made Easy program right now at inspiredwomenamazinglives.com. Let's shift things for your life and business before 2019 is over. Use the code POD for 50% off the Podcasting Made Easy. Okay, welcome back to Inspired Women, Amazing Lives. And Stephanie, this is going to be a tough one for you.
Lay it on me.
Okay, so, I've done a lot of things in my life. I've had a great life in spite of how it started out when I was young and got married young and had my kids. I've had a great life. But since I left my husband 26 years ago, I have had one serious relationship and two, I guess you call them friends with benefits. So, yeah, well, I don't know what they call them, cuddy buddies or whatever. I don't know. So and I'm honest about that. I'm an open book. I'm kind of transparent. So I've not been in a real romantic relationship for well over 15 years. Mm-hmm. And like I said, the only other relationships have been that I've been in two of those, like friends with benefits relationship. And one was a very long-standing relationship, like 5+ years. And then, he was ready to have a real relationship. And then I was like, nah, not doing it, because I felt like, I had trained him. I taught him how to make me second best. So if we were in a real relationship together, what was he going to do but make me second best always? So I was like, nah, we're not doing the relationship thing. So I took that off the table. And so this, I can tell you, Stephanie, I've got some trust issues. I do. Mm-hmm. I meet men all the time, just out and about living life. I meet men. I don't give them my number. I take theirs. Mm-hmm. And I do give them an opportunity. I call them. And then if they don't sound interesting enough to me, I probably will be pretty straightforward and say, I don't, I just don't think this is going to work, and my friends, like I said, they tell me your standards are too high. They tell me I'm just running all the time. I'm not giving a guy a chance. What do you think? And let me say this too, Stephanie. I'm pretty happy in life. All my kids are grown. I've got some grandkids that I enjoy spending time with. I spend a lot of time on my business and I love it. I love my business. So I'm not really lonely. I'm not one of these people that has to have someone with me. I had this joke for the longest time, Stephanie. I would say, I really need a part-time man. So he would just come when I want him and then he'd go away when I didn't. Because I really love my time. I've learned to love me and I really love my time. Am I weird, Stephanie? Is something wrong with me?
Nope. So two things. There's two things that stand out from all that information. So the first thing is, what would your perfect man look like? Everything. I want to know height. I want to know skin color. I want to know hair. I want to know values. Like, what are the things that you can think of? What exactly, if you were going to build him, they will come. What would he be?
All right. My perfect man, and I'm only 5'2", he would be about 6'1", 6'1". Bald-headed, nice dark chocolate skin. And he would be in shape, very well in shape. And he would have a variety of interests. He would not be this homebody or, he would have a variety of interests. He would be very well learned, and it would be a mirror copy of me, Stephanie. He would be, willing, definitely always working on himself, trying to make himself better. Even if he had a 9-to-5 job and not a business, he would still be always reaching for higher goals. Great conversation. If I can't have great conversation, I can't have anything else. My girlfriends tease and say, great sex is better than great conversation. No, not to me. I need great conversation.
Yeah.
And, I just, easygoing, that doesn't get real ruffled, has learned over time that life is just, you should really just take life as it comes and live in the moment and just really have that progressive thought and be open. And so, yeah, I mean, oops. Yeah. So I really, that's, I don't need a lot.
And you're not. I mean, here's the thing. So whenever people say something like you're trying, your levels are too high for what you're looking for, that to me scares me when women say that to other women, like, lower your standards. In fact, what I'm going to say is, increase your standards. So the more specific you are with what you're telling the universe, the more real it is. So, like, I mean, if you were going to date someone, so like when I met my husband, and bald head too, like my bald men. So my husband, I wanted 6'3", I wanted bald, I wanted a musician, I wanted, there was all these things that I wanted. And I said, if I am ever going to date again, these are the things that he has to have. And then of course I had some values and morals and those things.
Right.
And then I had the things that I was like, I could go either way. If he's got this, if he doesn't have this, that's okay. And then the other ones was like, definitely not, it's done. And I allowed myself to date. And as I dated, each date was it was for educational purposes. I mean, that was honestly what it was. I took the date as, this is an educational purpose. So the date, we'd go on one date and I would, interact. And then I would think, were there things about him that I liked? Were there things about him that I didn't like? And then I would kind of tweak my list, because sometimes there are things that we think we want, and then we get them and we're like, I'm pretty awesome, but I don't know if I could deal with me on this. Like,
that's a good point.
So like, those are some of the things. So like, really getting to know what it is that you're looking for. So, I mean, it was we spend a lot more time figuring out what we want on our pizza than we do on who we want in a life partner. And I say that kind of, as easily, but it's true. We look at, oh, someone treated me nice and they're cute. Okay, we should date.
Yeah.
No, ladies, stop doing that.
Yeah.
There needs to be, and I did a video on this called, you deserve more than basic, because we're accepting basic, like what you said. You had taught that guy how to treat you as a second class citizen.
Yes.
And we allow that. So even something, when I was in this dating educational purposes, there was a guy I was dating, and I told all the guys I was dating, I'm not serious. Like, I'm dating, and if I go on a second date with you, but that's it. One of the guys said to me, hey, and I was going on a date with my now husband, and he said, listen, because I was going to the city, and he said, listen, if he offers to drive you home, then take that as a positive thing. And we'd been on several dates. And I said, I don't want him to drive me home. I'll take the train. And he was like, no. He's like, listen, I'm going to tell you this. Men want to feel like they're doing something for you. And if a man just allows you to jump on the train and doesn't care about your safety, because he lived like an hour and a half away from my house.
Oh.
And if he offers to drive you home, what he's saying is that he cares about your safety, and he wants to spend that extra time with you for you till you get home. And I was like, again, strong, independent woman. I don't need any man to take care of me. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to try that out. And so, I said, we were out in the city, and I said, hey, I'm going to go home. And he's like, let me drive you home. And I said, that's too far. We're, over an hour, and then you still have to drive an hour and a half back to your house. I don't really feel comfortable. And his response was, I want to spend more time with you. So if that means spending more time with you in the car, then I'd rather do that, and I'll just go home. And I was like, he's not looking for sex. He just literally wants to spend more time with me. And so it was a really great lesson in and of that. I had never even allowed men that opportunity.
Yes.
Because I don't need anyone to take care of me. So, those kind of things. So allowing yourself to have dates, but not thinking of like, this is going to be the man that I'm for the rest of my life. This is not my Prince Charming. I'm just learning what it is that I like. Because a lot of us, I was a serial monogamous person. I had 7-8 year relationships. I didn't know how to date. So I didn't know what I was looking for. So for me and a lot of women, we need to figure out what it is that we want. So kind of thinking of that list. And then the second thing that you said that was very interesting, and now I'm going to go blank on what it was. You had said something about being by yourself, and how you were very comfortable being by yourself. So the second thing I want to make sure that I point out is that I want to ask you why you think that being in a relationship means taking away from who you are.
I think that because I've seen it so much. Mm-hmm. I see it in my girlfriends, and all of my girlfriends they either have a husband or they have a boyfriend, a long-standing boyfriend in a long-standing relationship. And I've seen them and heard their complaints and seen them give up so much that it has made me say some things about what I won't do when I have a relationship. And I don't know if that's the right thing to say. Like, for instance, and I was just telling one of them that this week, I got tired of hearing her complain about cooking for her boyfriend. And I'm like, why do you feel like you have to be his mother?
Yep.
You don't have to cook for him. Cook for yourself and ask him if he wants some. Mm-hmm. And I'm throwing a chicken breast in the oven. Do you want me to throw one in for you? If he says no, then he's on his own.
Exactly.
So yeah, I feel like all the relationships I know, every last one of them, they're having to give up not only a small piece of themselves, but it's almost like all of themselves. And the thought of that makes me sick. Mm-hmm. It really does.
And ladies, that's what I teach, because that's the thing that a lot of women do. We give up our power. You have to remember, whether or not you decide to have children, and so, and some women can't have children, but our bodies are built to do amazing things.
Yes.
we have so much, we can create life if our body, if we can do these things that other people cannot do. Men cannot do that without us. We need to stop giving away our power. We do not have to take it all on, and we can have a partner that helps us be a better version of ourselves. And now, so what you're saying is that, and this was my fear, and this was why when I met my now husband, I almost broke up with him 3 times, because I met him and I was like, this guy's too good to be true. Because I knew that if I was ever going to date seriously again, he had to check off all the things on my list. And he also had to he had to be a full adult by himself. It was not my job to come and fix or save him. And for me, relationships had always been losing myself, not being able to be fully me. And I found that with him, I was me and better. He would help me see things from perspectives that I wouldn't have seen on my own. So he elevated me. And so what a lot of women do is we don't find those partners. We find the men that need to be babied. And it is not sexy, ladies, to be their mother. Stop mothering them. There are boundaries, like you said. You don't want what I'm cooking? Figure it out. It's a partnership. So like in my relationship, I'm the cook in the family because he doesn't cook. But there are things that he does, and we help each other out. Like we help with childcare. I do a lot of stuff. And if I ever say, hey babe, can you help me with that? He steps up and helps me. I traveled last summer for 2 months, pretty much by myself. He never once said, don't travel anymore. Not that he didn't miss me, but when I said to him, listen, some people are just amazed that you're cool with me doing all this traveling. And he said, when I married you, I knew who I was marrying. And I was never going to clip your wings. And that was one of the things that I fell in love with. I said, because the other ones before had seen this strong, independent woman, and they were like, what can I do to bring her down and make her feel bad and mold her into what I wanted? I finally had met someone, and ladies, they are out there. My husband is not the only version of himself. There are lots of them out there looking for beautiful women like you who are willing to be the queen in the relationship. Stop selling yourself at TJ Maxx or or whatever, Dollar Tree, whatever it is. You are this queen, beautiful woman, and you need to find your king who is in the same place as you. So, we are settling for second best, and that's detrimental to us.
Oh, wow. That was beautiful, Stephanie. Yes, it was. Oh my gosh, ladies, I hope, oh my gosh, I'm going to do so many snippets from this and just play them over and over again for people to hear. I want women to hear this because you are, not that they needed permission, but this really gives them permission to say, okay, what can I do different? How do I do that? And in this process, I'm going to get my power back.
Mm-hmm.
I love it. I so love that. Wow. Now, Stephanie, you have a book, and your book is called Being Loved Shouldn't Hurt. Recognize and overcome toxic relationships so you can live. I love it. So what is this book about?
So basically it tells my story. It's the much longer version and more detailed version of the story that I gave you. And I did a little interview with some other people who had been in toxic relationships and overcome them. And then the last chapter is really looking at learning about red flags, learning about, what codependency is, because a lot of us don't really like putting a label to things. But if we're noticing that the same issue is happening over and over and over again, we got to really look in the mirror and look at ourselves and say, hey, what is it that we are doing? And, for a little while, I thought that I made men go bad. I didn't realize I was just attracting the wrong men. And so, when a lot of people read this book, they're like, oh, I was in the same boat. I thought that I was doing it to them. And they're really good. I talk about the manipulation that they do, and because they really start to make you question what's real. You don't know what's real anymore. And you're so used to, I always use the analogy of the frog in the pot. You throw a frog in boiling water, they're going to jump out. But if you slowly turn up the heat, they'll boil to death. And a lot of us women are boiling to death. Yeah, we're like, we'll take it, we'll take it, we'll take it, we'll take it. And all of a sudden we're in this place and we're like, I don't even know who I am, because human beings are so good at acclimating to their surroundings. And as women that were taught to be caretakers, we're even better at it. So we're boiling in our own environment. And so the idea is, in the book, it really talks about how to look at that environment and look at real surefire ways to not create that again.
Wow. And just so you will know, I'm going to run a contest later in the week on your book. Because I'm going to buy a couple copies.
Nice.
I'm going to buy a couple copies and give away 2 copies. So audience, listen out for the contest. Also, I'm going to buy a copy for my daughter. I have a daughter that's going through relationship issues, and I think this book will bless her. I may end up buying more than that because I've got some friends too that I really need to get that out. So this book will be a big blessing. Ladies, listen, look on the podcast page for the link. I have a link there where you can get the book. This is amazing. The more that women like Stephanie share this, the more educated we can become. Mm-hmm. Give me a few minutes. We'll be right back, Stephanie, and we'll talk about a healing trip that you're doing. Mm-hmm. Be back in a second. All right, we're back. And Stephanie has a women's healing adventure trip to Costa Rica in 2020. Tell us about that.
Oh my gosh, I'm so excited about this. I've got 17 spots available. This is for women who are looking to heal, to relax, to rejuvenate, to get that self-care they keep putting on the back burner, to meet those other brilliant, beautiful women who are looking to create their best lives. I mean, this is going to be one of those events that it's just transformative. Like, it's not even just life-changing, like transformation. You're going to leave on that last Saturday, because it's, Saturday to Saturday, the 15th and 22nd of February, and you're going to leave there a different person than who got there. And so basically what we're doing is, so all the things that I teach over 6 months to my clients, we're doing in a week. So, and I'm doing it with you. I will be there with you. So you're going to be able to get coaching from me, right in front of your face. Come to me specifically and say, hey, I wanted to talk to you about whatever. You're going to meet another 18 other beautiful women who are also doing the same thing. And we're going to be starting every morning with yoga. We're going to be doing meditations. Nice. We're going to be waterfalls, zip lining, salsa dancing. I mean, the beach, canopies. We're going to be in the rainforest of Costa Rica hanging out. And if anyone's like, hey, you know what, and I really would like to, and I should say also too, the food we're going to be eating is healing also. So it's all farm to table, local, organic. So it's really just, like I said, all the different angles of healing. And one of the things that I teach my clients is feel the fear and act anyway, because a lot of us get frozen in the fear. So we're going to be doing things to push that comfort level just a little bit, and we're all going to be in it together. So there'll be everyone, and some of the things that are a little bit scary and uncomfortable, once you do them and accomplish them, you're going to say to yourself, ooh, that was fun. What other things have been holding me back from my fear, and how can I change those things around? So you're going to come back with 18 best friends. You're going to have some beautiful pictures. You're going to be in the rainforest of Costa Rica in February. I live in New York, so I don't know about wherever everybody else is, but it's cold in New York. It is not in Costa Rica. We're going to be going there. It's going to be 85 degrees, beautiful, and just a lot of amazing women, and a lot of just great stuff's going to happen. It's going to be magical.
Nice. Wow. That sounds truly, truly amazing. Wow. A healing adventure trip. Ladies, if you're looking for somewhere to go or something to do, this is a perfect place. Or if you have decided that you are you've got love on your mind for 2020, this sounds like a great way to kick that off.
And I'm going to throw out there for your listeners that for you, mention that you heard me on this podcast. Right now, it's $22.95, which includes everything. For your listeners, it'll be $19.95. It'll include room, board, airport transfers, everything. So you have to worry about your flight and then $19.95. But you'd have to pay in full. But if you pay $19.95 in full, then your listeners are going to get, it's a significant discount. Just mentioning that you heard me here.
Nice. I will definitely put that on the page. Oh yeah. Very nice. And then for those of you who can't make the trip, Stephanie is running a 6-week masterclass, Brilliant Women Dating Up masterclass on her business page.
And it's free. So you don't even have to worry about, what I would do is go to my business page, Being Loved Shouldn't Hurt. You can go back and just go through the videos. You can see all the videos that you've missed because we just finished week 4. So next week is going to be week 5. Just go and like the page, like the events, and that way you can get the reminders that they're coming up. They last about 30 minutes, so it's not a huge chunk of time, but there's a lot of really great information. I mean, when people watch them, they're just like hearts, comments, all this like just epiphanies that are happening from watching this. So definitely check that out. It's on Being Loved Shouldn't Hurt. It's our business page.
Nice. Really, really nice. And you can find Stephanie at beinglovedshouldn'thurt.com, and I will post her website link where you can find her on Facebook. She has a private Facebook community called Codependency and Healing Support Group. And she has a lot of free resources and training and support on her business page. Mm-hmm. Yes. So, Miss Stephanie, before you leave, you had an unusual thing. What was that?
So my unusual thing, most people would not realize that I speak fluent French. So when I was little, my mom is from France. I'm first generation. And my mom would speak to me in French when I was little. And so my dad was in the military. It was just my mom and I a lot of the times at home. And when I went to school, the teachers thought that I was learning delayed because they couldn't understand what I was saying. And what it ended up being was that I was speaking what my parents started to call franglais, which was just a mixture of English and French. So what they thought was gibberish was actually me speaking fluently in 2 languages, but my little 3-year-old brain didn't understand they were 2 different languages. So I was just having full sentences and mixing the 2 languages together.
Wow. Very, very nice. Wow. Oh my gosh. Now, I bet you that went over really good with your dating partners when you would date. I'm sure they loved hearing you speak French.
Oh, yes, for sure. Well, that was actually one of the things when my husband and I got together is he said, he was actually like top of his class in French class. And we didn't even speak about that right away. But as we started to get to know each other, he had said he always loved French class and he wanted to go to France as a class trip. And of course, they never ended up going. So we ended up going as a family 3 years ago and spent a month in the south of France. And he was just, it was a beautiful trip.
Very nice. Wow. Yes. See, that's what happens when you get someone that's really compatible. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Very nice. Now, before we go, I'd like you to share with my audience one last action item that they can take away and put into place right now today. Something that they could do to really just start looking at their dating life differently.
I'm going to say before you even start looking at your dating life, 15 minutes every day of self-care. Good. Those of you who don't have 15 minutes, do 30 minutes. You need it more. So 15 minutes, I don't care if it's meditation, I don't care if it's yoga, I don't care if it's exercise, pre-making your food so that you're eating food that's healthy because we go to whatever's easiest. So if it's, if the snacks are all available, we eat the snacks instead of the healthier stuff. Talk to friends. I mean, really, life is about joy. So if you're not making time to find joy every day, then what are you doing? And I think that really, that brings you into your dating life too, because if you're coming from a place of sadness and lack and frustration and lack. I mean, lack is really the big word because a lot of times people come and they're feeling so needy. I want to be in a relationship. I'm so lonely. All of these things. Yeah. They have no life of their own.
Right.
And because they've taken care of everybody else. So really work at those friendships and getting to know yourself and taking that time for you. And then when you date someone, it will be coming from a place of lack. And you'll understand, because when you get so full, your cup is so full that you're not going to be interested in anyone taking away from that cup. You're going to want somebody else to help fill it more.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that that's probably the biggest takeaway. Take care of you.
Absolutely. That's really good. And we can never say that enough, because I'm sure you find it with your clients, you say it all the time and they still are not really listening.
Mm-hmm. And as business owners, we all know, I mean, you do a lot of work. Yeah. So, and there's actually been studies that you work better after you take some self-care. So those of us who worked 7 days a week and we've spent, 12-hour days just working all the time, you're actually causing a detriment to your business. If you take your Sunday off and have it your rejuvenation day, or you have your relaxing day, and that's the day you go to church, or you hang out with your friends, or you go, out on a day trip, or, whatever, you go out and you find that joy. You maybe, like Sundays for me, like I do a little face mask, I put a little extra conditioning in my hair, whatever those things, you treat yourself and you take care of yourself. And then Monday comes along and you're rejuvenated and you're ready to give more to your business. You're ready to give more, and come and take that time to relax. You're back to that place of lack, and that's not going to work.
Yes, that's very good, Stephanie. Thank you for that. I have so enjoyed you today. Oh my gosh, I could talk to you for hours about this. I absolutely love this. And I can't wait to read your book. I can't wait to share it with my friends, and definitely audience to share it with you. Thank you for joining me today for Inspired Women, Amazing Lives. Definitely share this episode with the woman that you want to inspire, because someone else needs to hear this. All right. Have a wonderful, wonderful day, and I'll see you on the next episode. Bye. Thank you for joining me for this episode of Inspired Women, Amazing Lives podcast, where we help women to be truly inspired to live their most amazing lives. Please subscribe to the podcast to be notified of new content every week. Please like, comment, and share with the women who inspire you most, or someone that you would like to inspire. See you on the next episode.